Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Betrayal is a bitter pill to swallow, but some betrayals cut so deep that they leave wounds that never truly heal. My sister, Emily, 28 female, and I, 32 female, were never particularly close. But I never imagined she would betray me in the worst way possible. I had been married to my husband, Daniel, 34 male, for 7 years. We weren't perfect, but I believed we were happy. That illusion shattered when I found out that for nearly a year, he had been having an affair with Emily. I remember the day I discovered the affair like it was yesterday. I had suspected something was off. Daniel had been distant, Emily had been acting strangely, and there were too many coincidences. But the confirmation came when I caught them together. The devastation was indescribable. The two people I should have been able to trust the most had utterly destroyed my world. When I confronted them, Emily cried and said she didn't mean for it to happen, that it was a mistake. Daniel was full of excuses, claiming he hadn't meant to hurt me. I felt like my entire reality had been shattered. Everything I had with Daniel, our home, our plans for the future, was nothing but a lie. The only thing I could do was walk away. I filed for divorce. There was no coming back from something like this. To make matters worse, Emily and Daniel got married only 6 months after the divorce was finalized. My parents tried to mend things between us, but I refused. I wanted nothing to do with him. As far as I was concerned, my sister no longer existed. Emily got pregnant quickly after marrying Daniel, and while it stung to hear about, I convinced myself that I was moving on. I had no contact with Emily, and I liked it that way. But fate had its own cruel way of unfolding events. When Emily was 7 months along, Daniel died in a car accident. I wasn't heartless. I did feel sorry for her. She had lost her husband, the father of her child, but sympathy didn't erase what she had done to me. I sent her a brief condolence message and continued living my life. I refused to let her pain drag me back into a relationship I had already buried. Emily was completely shattered. She spiraled into depression, barely leaving the house. My parents, despite everything, were there for her. They took care of her, consoled her, and assured her that she would get through it. I kept my distance. 2 months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. My parents were overjoyed, hoping that this child would give Emily a reason to live again. But looks like she had other plans. One evening, I was woken up by frantic knocking at my door. When I opened it, I was met with a sight I could never have anticipated. A newborn baby, bundled up in a blanket, and a note. The note was from Emily. It was hastily written, the ink smudged in some places. She was asking me to take the baby and raise him as my own. She wrote about how she couldn't do it alone, how she was overwhelmed, how she didn't have the strength to be a mother without Daniel. She wrote about her grief, about how she was drowning in it, and how she believed I was the only one who could truly care for the baby. I stood there, stunned. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. This was her child, the child she conceived with my ex-husband, the man she had stolen from me. And now, after wrecking my life, she expected me to raise their baby? I immediately took the baby to my parents' house. If Emily thought she couldn't do it alone, they were the logical choice. But as soon as I arrived, my parents exploded. They were furious that I refused to take the baby in. They told me I was being selfish, that I was abandoning my own family in a time of crisis. My mother cried, saying she and my father were too old and had too many health issues to raise an infant. They insisted that as the oldest relative, it was my duty to take the baby in. They claimed that Emily was suffering from severe postpartum depression and that my rejection would only make things worse. I didn't care. I refused. I left the baby with them, turned around, and walked out of their house. My parents started calling me nonstop. My mother left tearful voicemails, begging me to change my mind and help. My father, usually quiet, sent me a cold text. "If you let your nephew grow up abandoned, you are no daughter of mine." Emily, of course, played the victim. She told everyone how she was grieving and how I had refused to help her in her darkest moment. Extended family members started messaging me, saying I was heartless, that the baby was innocent, that I needed to show some compassion. But I felt no guilt. I refused to be guilted into this. My sister chose to betray me. She chose to marry my husband. She chose to bring a child into the world with him. And now that she can't handle what life has prepared for her, she expects me to step in and fix it? I won't do it. If my parents want to disown me, so be it. If my family thinks I'm heartless, fine. I've spent my entire life being the one people leaned on, the one who sacrificed, the one who kept the peace. This time, I'm choosing myself. I understand that the baby is innocent. I know he didn't ask for any of this. But I also know that I cannot be the one to raise him. Every time I look at him, I would be reminded of my sister's betrayal, of my husband's infidelity, of the pain I fought so hard to move on from. That is not the environment a child deserves to grow up in. So, no, I will not raise this baby. Everyone in my family is making me feel like a monster for refusing to take the baby. But I can't. I won't. Am I really wrong for drawing this boundary? OP's sister had an affair with her husband, married him, got pregnant, and now that he's gone, she expects OP to step in and fix her life? That's an absolutely insane level of entitlement. OP's parents are enabling her behavior by trying to manipulate OP into sacrificing her own well-being for someone who didn't think twice about betraying her. OP owes that baby nothing. He is not OP's responsibility, and if OP's parents truly care about his future, they can step up or find other alternatives. OP needs to stay firm in her decision. OP is not a monster for refusing to clean up OP's sister's mess. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. I can't believe how painful it must have been to not only lose your husband to your sister's betrayal, but now have her try to guilt you into parenting their child. I get that your parents are older and worried about the baby's future, but that doesn't mean it's your burden to carry. You have every right to refuse. Your mental health, your peace, and your boundaries matter. If your parents truly believe the baby needs a stable guardian, they should be looking into adoption or another suitable guardian, not forcing this responsibility onto the very person who was betrayed the most. Not the a-hole. Actions have consequences. Your sister made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. She chose to betray you, to marry your husband, and to have a child with him. She doesn't get to now claim victimhood and dump the baby on you when things get hard. Your parents should be ashamed for trying to emotionally blackmail you. It's not your job to fix the mess that your sister created. You did the right thing by walking away. If your parents are so concerned, they should take the baby in or find other arrangements. Not your problem. Not the a-hole. While I do feel for the baby, because he is innocent in all of this, you are under no obligation to take him in. Your sister and parents are trying to weaponize your compassion against you, but you need to protect yourself. Raising a child is a lifelong commitment, not a temporary favor. If you took that baby in, would they suddenly start treating you like family again? Or would they continue to disrespect and manipulate you, knowing that you cave to their pressure? You need to look out for your own well-being first. And honestly, this child deserves a parent who actually wants to raise him, not someone who was forced into it. Stand your ground. In April last year, my 19 female, Grandma let everyone in her will inherit most things early. She's still alive, which was almost everything except for things like her house, etc. I inherited my grandma's wedding dress from the 50s or 60s, since I loved it so much when I first saw it. I'm not getting married anytime soon, but I plan to in the future and want to wear my grandma's dress to my wedding. My cousin Jake, 26 male, is getting married to his fiancée Lily, 25 female, late next year. Jake reached out last week, which was weird because we are not close at all. He said that he had seen the dress before I inherited it from our grandma, and he wanted his fiancée to wear it to their wedding. I told him that the answer would probably be no, and he was pretty upset about it. I decided to hear him out. He said that his fiancée would tell me her plans for alterations and stuff. Lily called me the next day, and to sum it up, she pretty much wanted to cut up the dress, dye it, and completely change the bodice. I told Lily that her plans were not okay with me, and she pretty much said, "I'm just going to give it to my future daughter-in-law, so I wouldn't want you wearing it." I was shocked by this bee's entitlement, and I told her that since it was my grandma's dress, I wouldn't want her wearing it, as it would take away from the sentimentality for me. I also told her that even if I did let her wear the dress, there was no chance that I would let her keep it. Lily said it would be great since the dress would be free, and her mom could do the alterations. I hung up when she started crying because I couldn't take any more of this girl's crap. Jake blew up my phone and told me that I'm such a bee for making Lily cry, and I shouldn't have made them think there was a chance they could have the dress. I told Jake that at first there might have been a chance, but by the time Lily called, I had made my decision. Jake blew up, saying that I shouldn't rob his fiancée of the opportunity for the perfect dress, etc. I told him that the reason for my decision was that I was planning to wear it for my future wedding, that the dress was important to me, and I didn't want to wear a dress that had been worn by someone else so recently. He said some BS like, "Our grandma might not even be there when you get married, so why not let Lily wear it?" I texted him. I might have gone too far, but I was pissed, saying that Lily wasn't part of the family and that the dress meant nothing to her and didn't have the value to her that it had for me. I didn't want someone to take that away from me. I called my grandma about this, and she said that I shouldn't have given it to them, as she didn't want Jake's fiancée to wear the dress because she barely knew her. Since then, Jake and Lily have both been blowing up my messages and Instagram DMs, and Lily's parents even DM'd me. I've ignored all of it as it's just them being pissed and begging for the dress. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The insane level of entitlement from Jake, and especially Lily, is beyond belief. Not the a-hole. I can't imagine anyone would think you are. Weird that Jake had seen the dress before, and that he wanted his bride to wear it, and said bride want to alter it completely. Sounds like they want a free dress. Your grandmother, your dress. Love it and wear it. Not the a-hole. Sounds like they just want a free dress. Because if Jake wanted his fiancée to wear grandma's dress, there wouldn't be any alterations to turn it into a completely different dress. Grandma wouldn't want to see her dress all cut up and dyed and worn by someone who isn't even her grandchild. She gave it to you, and they are undeserving of it anyways by the way they're acting. What the duck? What is the dress made of? Diamonds and chocolate? Does this woman not know that they sell wedding dresses at the store? I get that they're expensive, but if she's trying to be frugal, there are other places where she can get a second-hand dress. Not the a-hole. I've been with my girlfriend for about 4 months, and it's incredibly intense, and I know for certain she's the one I'm going to spend my life with. We are a sort of opposites attract situation, but I'm madly in love with her. We came to my family's house for Christmas, and my parents really like her a lot. My family does this hike up the Lelouch Trail come rain, snow, or shine every year, then take the tram down. My dad is a fitness nut, and these hikes are incredibly intense and not for the unprepared. I did not tell my girlfriend about it because, very frankly, she is far too heavy to go on the hike. Instead, I got her movie tickets to spend the day at the movies while I was gone. She was looking at a photo album of my ex-boyfriend had done for me, and one picture was taken of the two of us taken wearing Santa hats from the crest, and she asked what that was, and I said it was the annual hike. She asked if I was doing it this year, and I said that there really isn't a way out of it, and she said that it sounded like fun. I said I had actually surprised her with movie tickets and a gift card to see Avatar, and she could do that on Saturday and get out of the hike. She said that she would rather do the hike. I said she's not really ready. She said it's okay, she'll do as much as she can. I said it's not really that type of hike. It's intense and can get scary, and once you get to a certain point, you can't really turn around. She said, what was I really saying? So I just came out and said it, that in addition to being out of shape, she's just way too heavy to complete a hike like this. It's just reality. What kind of got me is we both know she's overweight, and I don't care, and we've talked about it before. And I know to never get a booth, or how hard it is to find her clothes, so I'm not sure why this is different. It's been so intense over the last couple of days, and now I woke up to her packing in the middle of the night. I was able to calm her down so we could at least talk today. A-hole is the tamest word she used for me. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Regardless of whether she was capable of it, you made that decision for her without even asking her what she thought about it, or telling her about the hike in the first place. You tried to hide it from her. It would have been so simple to say, hey, my family does this hike every year. It's really intense. I can't get out of it, so I have to go, but you don't have to come with me. Then, if she wanted to go, you could even do a prep hike to make sure she was going to be safe. Most likely, she would not have wanted to go anyway. Instead, you took away her agency and made it some weird secret as you were ashamed to have the conversation with her. You're the a-hole. You didn't even give her the option. You went ahead and decided that because she's overweight, she can't do it. I don't think your girlfriend could have packed her things fast enough. You weren't even willing to let her try. Why? Because you would be embarrassed. You're ashamed of her. Every decision you've made around this has been selfish. You've lied and hid the truth and shown her what you think of her and her abilities. She has every right to tell you to get ducked. Not the a-hole. 4 months in, you're barely getting to know her. Deciding this is the woman of your dreams is a wee bit premature. She's already showing you some red flags. You were sensitive, honest, and caring in buying her something alternative to do. She would have ruined your entire family's day by being so stubborn about saying she wanted to do this, unprepared, with no research, and with unrealistic expectations of what being able to go for a stroll and then turn around by herself and return. And then rather than communicate and talk it through, she packs in the middle of the night, and then she insults you. You are not the a-hole in this situation. She 100% is. Anyway, I'm 7 months pregnant and have been documenting every little detail of the pregnancy because I want to be as involved in these kiddos' lives as I can. My sister has 2 kids and recently had her tubes tied due to feeling that's as many kids as she wanted, which is a valid choice. I'll admit I'm a bit flaunty about being pregnant, but at most, I'll just be overly giddy while talking about it. I'm not going out of my way to rub it in, nor do I want to offend. I've gotten quite a bit of attention due to the pregnancy, as one would expect. It was the same for my sister when she was pregnant as well. And of course, given her tubes being tied, I worried she may feel left out or even jealous to an extent, but she's always assuring me she's fine, so I continued to document the pregnancy and prep for these little bundles of joy. It's about month 5 that I noticed she's become more passive-aggressive about it. Comments like, "Oh, you must be so happy to have so many eyes on you," and "wish I could experience the magic of a pregnancy again." Once again, the last thing I want to do is make her uncomfortable, but she's adamant she's totally cool with all this. I definitely try to tone it down a bit from here, since I sense she's a bit bothered by it. This all continues until now when our mother throws a baby shower for me, and she is tasked with helping. According to our mom, she just flat out refused to be involved, with her reasoning being that it's apparently not fair that she can experience all this again, and that I shouldn't be getting all this attention. I tried to call her, but she refused to answer. So after texting her and wanting to know if she's okay, I get a long, expletive-filled rant about how I don't deserve all this attention, and it's not fair I get to be a mom while she can't have any more kids. Keep in mind that she made the choice to get her tubes tied all on her own. She made it clear she didn't want more kids. I mean, I understand the empty nest feeling, but her kid's hardly 5 yet. Shouldn't that be where she should be looking to feel the joys of motherhood? I feel awful that she can't have more kids, but how is that my fault? I'm over the moon to have kids. Why would that make her so upset? So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister needs therapy. She is a mother. She has kids. Very young kids, apparently. She doesn't want to be a mother again. She just seems to resent that she won't get to be pregnant and get the attention that comes with it again, which is a very toxic approach to motherhood. She chose not to have any more children, which is respectable, and if she did so because she thinks she couldn't handle or give a good quality of life to any more children, then she made the right choice. But it seems she doesn't think the same, so a professional could help her navigate her feelings. None of this is your fault. You have a right to enjoy your pregnancy and your motherhood. You have a right to celebrate this with your loved ones. She's throwing a tantrum, and she's way too old for that. Not the a-hole at all. I was going to give sister a bit of grace since I felt bad for her infertility, except she's not infertile. She has 2 children and made a choice to sterilize herself. She could literally untie her tubes and risk it if it means that much to her, but you have no obligation to baby her about your baby. Not the a-hole. Your sister is a narcissist. She got all that attention when she had her 2 kids, but now that it's your turn for the love and attention you're not worthy? What the hell kind of logic is that? As you said, she made her own choice, and now you're suffering the consequences of that. Ridiculous. Hopefully she can see how much of a bee she's being and come to realize that it's not about her right now. Live your life and be happy about this miracle you're carrying. Do whatever you want and don't worry about Debbie Downer, as there's nothing you can do to appease her at this point. My partner and I recently bought a house and are beginning to host, mostly to thank those who kindly helped. My family gave us a small sum for furniture. Our friends and his sister helped with some renos. It'll be a mix of gatherings of friends, family, and one-on-one dinners. We're not having a housewarming. We don't want gifts. So my partner's parents didn't help in any way. We understand we're not entitled to anything, but the reason is because they were adamant about not buying in 2022, and we obviously ignored their advice. For what it's worth, they're not entirely wrong, but our belief was that we couldn't time the market, and we'd buy what we loved if we could afford it. I'll add that they always told him they'd help when he buys a house. The father owns a small construction company, so we hoped we'd be able to borrow extra tools he keeps, and they rely on my partner a lot. One of many examples can be giving up his Saturday to help dad on a job, not get paid for it, buying lunch for all the guys, and not get reimbursed. We invited his sister and a few others for a get-together in January. Parents found out about our plans, including with my family. They're upset they've been left out of all the parties, and have only been invited to see the house, no dinner or anything. We explained their thank you dinners. Parents get more offended. Partner asked if we can just invite them to something soon, tag along or host a nice dinner. I said definitely no to the former, and I don't want to the latter. Am I the a-hole for sticking to my guns about only hosting for those who helped us? We will be hosting eventually, but I'm talking about a celebratory hosting occasion in early 2023. You're inviting people as a thank you, and they didn't do anything to help you. How do they think it's going to work? Your parents, thanks for the money for furniture. Friend A and friend B, thanks for helping remodel. In-laws, thanks for nothing. Not the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You sound like you think you're entitled to help. You don't have to invite them to a thank you dinner, but you made it clear that you aren't open to hosting them to a non-thank you dinner either. They can do a walkthrough only. That's not about thanking other people. That's about being vindictive towards your in-laws. Backstory. My 16 female sister, 22 female, and her 23 male husband have a son. My sister still lives at home because she doesn't have a job. My mom makes me help with Jaden, their son, in order for me to do things. For example, I get extra pocket money, permission to go out with my friends, sometimes a later curfew for looking after Jaden when my sister's busy or asleep. So 3 days ago, brother-in-law's family came over to watch the World Cup. I'm not interested in football, so I was helping my mom cook when it started to stink. Like, it smelled so ducking bad. My mom said Jaden must have pooped, and if I can change it, I don't have to help with cooking anymore. I don't mind helping cook, but I went to change it anyway. I said to brother-in-law I needed to change Jaden, and put my hands out. He backed up with the baby and told me to duck off, and that his son needed to see his country win. They're Argentinian. I called him an idiot, told him that his 1-year-old son will never remember this, but he'll start crying even more if his diaper doesn't get changed. He started shushing me, and I honestly lost it. I said, "You're such a crappy dad. By the time your son's old enough to speak, he's gonna hate you because you don't do crap. It's a baby. He doesn't give a duck who wins the World Cup, and he smells even more, so just give me the baby." By that time, Argentina had won, so he gave me Jaden while screaming with joy, waking my sister up. I'm now grounded for 2 weeks for disrespecting my elders, cursing in front of my mom, and saying something out of line. My sister, mom, and dad were all telling me I had no right to say that. It wasn't my place to say, and that I had purposely tried to humiliate him in front of his family, and my sister called me a B and a W. At the time, I thought I was in the right, but I'm lost now. Maybe it wasn't my business to say that, but I honestly don't know. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I didn't ask him to change the diaper. I asked for the baby so I could change it. Also, I know absolutely nothing about football. I didn't know the game would be over in a minute. Also, before anyone asks, I'm using my old phone. They took mine. Honestly, not the a-hole, but everyone else in this story sucks. Your brother-in-law does sound like a pretty crappy dad, and you should not be forced to help with your nephew just to be able to do things. Jaden is not your responsibility. I hope that you are able to move far away from this living situation as soon as you can. My God, what a lovely family. So it's okay for their precious older daughter to call their younger daughter a W, and it's okay for the jerk she married to neglect his son and treat a sister-in-law like that, in her own house. But the minute he's put in his place by you, you're a villain? Dear oh dear. Well, unfortunately, you're stuck with these people for another 2 years, unless there's somewhere you can go that doesn't treat you as lesser. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to leave the baby to his parents. They are in fact his parents, so they can step up and act like it. You're going to tell your sister that you are not her verbal punching bag and refuse to babysit, etc., unless she apologizes. You could, I suppose, apologize for the harsh language you used towards your brother-in-law, but only if he apologizes in return for the way he spoke to you. And tell your parents that it's not right that you be treated in this way by the 2 people you were trying to help. Not the a-hole, but your parents, brother-in-law, and sister can wipe their butts with fiberglass. By the way, you were right. There's no room for places when it comes to child neglect, even something like a crappy diaper. Also, stop helping with the baby. If they say, "I'll give you this in return," respond with, "It's your legal obligation to take care of me, and you shouldn't have had me if you just wanted me to be my sister's maid." Or have brother-in-law, you know, the crappy father who doesn't do crap for his own child, do it.